Hi, Professor Sheri here with today's artifact. And no, I am not the artifact. I'm here to present an artifact, okay? I have lots and lots and lots of antiques. I have Professor Bob. I have furniture. I have lamps. I have all kinds of cool stuff. I collect arts and crafts period pottery. But the things that I count the most precious in my life that are old are the things that belong to my family. And I have an incredible amount of things that have come down from my family because we were all pack rats and we all told the stories to each other. My family came to the United States in the 17 and early 1800s. And primarily they came from France, and then they married some English people and some Welsh people, okay? And I have one of the wooden trunks that came with them in 1843, and a pair of earrings that a mini great-grandmother wore. So why do I care about these things? I think I care about these things because my grandmother, with whom I spent a lot of time when I was young, told me the stories of my family. I mean, she would be in her big house that did not have running water, which meant we had an outhouse, and barely had an electric stove, an electric refrigerator, and no air conditioning. And she would cook in the kitchen, that hot, hot kitchen, and tell me family stories. And I was enthralled with them. And I would say, tell me the one again. So she would tell me about the ancestor that was shot by a flaming arrow in the shoulder, and when they took the arrow out, he put it in his belt and wore it the rest of his life as a badge of courage. I have another relative way back when that was burned at the stake by Indians. At the behest of the King of France, he came to help Christianize the Indians, and they were not thrilled with that idea, and he was killed. But he was married. He wasn't a priest. So these stories exist, but they hadn't been written down, very many of them. They existed in my head, and I'm now the matriarch of the family. If I don't put them together for my children and grandchildren, they will be lost. How much of the stuff in your family is going to be lost? Don't throw it out. Don't follow that admonition that if you haven't used it in a year that it's worthless and get rid of it. The last thing in the world I ever want to see as someone's family treasures at a thrift store or an auction, or worse yet, in the dumpster, where I've pulled things out and kept them before. Okay, so my artifact today is my grandmother's cradle. Now, it's my grandmother's cradle because she was rocked in it. She was born in 1887. And her mother's brother, and they had a big passel of kids, gave her this cradle to rock my grandmother in. And I just find that quite amazing. I think it was my grandmother's most treasured possession, and because of that, it was mine. It's cool. It's on a platform. That's my doll trunk underneath it. It's on a platform, so there's no draft, no mice, no rats, no whatever else came into old houses. And you could just sit comfortably and rock baby. But if you didn't want baby to rock, there's a latch under here that locks it in place. And I need to adjust the latch. It's all there. It's just not working very well. I had an antique dealer who saw it one time in my house, and he said it was pre-Victorian. But I don't know how that would be unless it was secondhand when it was given. Maybe it was used in the family elsewhere. But it is a treasure. It is a treasure that I love. And I'll be sharing other treasures with you. So how do you go about making your family story put together? See, I'm the last one. I've inherited all the little threads and all the little bits of paper and all the old moldy, musty smelling boxes and all of this stuff. And it's up to me to weave this into a tapestry of my family. Because as I said before, if I'm gone, those stories are gone. So where do you look? In Bibles, old family Bibles. People write things in the Bible that they want to keep. That's a great place. Books. Maybe your grandmother gave you a book when you were little and she wrote in that. because I have some of those things. I found a letter about where a wedding gift came from. It was on a piece of paper rolled up and tucked down in a vase. So you're going to have to get dusty. You're going to have to go look in the places where nobody looks anymore. You're going to have to be a detective. And I really encourage you to do this. So besides my grandmother being rocked in this cradle in 1887, my mother was rocked in it. She was born in 1919. I was rocked in it. You don't need to know that date. Both of my children were rocked in it, Kim and James, and my granddaughter Crystal were rocked in it. So it has history. It has provenance. It has a place in my heart. So I really, really encourage you to find those stories and write them down and weave them together for your family. And actually I like Ancestry.com. I found a lot of good, useful information on that as well about my family. But I'm not plugging them. You can do it without that. So when we come back another time, we'll see more treasures that I have. Oh, I have lots of treasures. Okay? And I encourage you, before we get together again, to go find one you didn't know you had. See you later. Bye.